So, students, today we shall take up the poem. The name of the poem today is Fear the Mind is Without Fear. This poem is written by Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore was a great Indian dramatist, novelist, and poet. He was born in Calcutta in 1861. Tagore was a poet of Indian culture. He has written so many things about India and Indian culture. Tagore sings of beauty of the earth and sky with devotion. Many of his works are full of deep religious and patriotic feelings. He was awarded the Nobel Prize for his book Gitanjali, and this poem too is taken from Gitanjali. So, when the poem was written, India was under the British rule and people were eagerly awaiting to get freedom from the Britishers. So, the poet wrote the poem in the form of a prayer to God for true freedom. That is, freedom from ignorance, prejudices, disunity, and other evils. This was something about the poem and the poet. Now, we can take up the text. So, let us take up the text now. Okay, the lines before us are: where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection. Okay, this is the first paragraph, my dear students. Here we are having a few difficult words like head is held high. That means self-dignity or to feel respected. Then we have fragments. Fragments are small pieces. Perfection is the best, the complete. These were a few difficult words in the first stanza. Now, the lines, please. In these lines, the poet prays to God that there should be an atmosphere of fearlessness and self-respect in his country. People should be able to walk with their heads held high. That means people should walk with self-dignity. They should have self-respect. There should be no restrictions on knowledge. That means knowledge should be free. It should be accessible to all, irrespective of caste, religion, or language, etc. The world should not be divided into small parts on the basis of religion, language, etc. People should always speak the truth. Everybody should work tirelessly. Tireless striving stretches its arm towards perfection. That means everybody should work tirelessly in order to achieve perfection in life. Thus, these lines are a prayer for an ideal India that the poet visualizes for each and every person. Okay, this was the first paragraph. Now, the second stanza, please. Where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. These are the lines. Difficult words, a few we have, like reason. Reason is to differentiate between good and bad. Then we have dead habit. Dead habit is to believe in superstitions, you can say. Awake is to get up. Now, in these lines, the poet prays to God that his countrymen should be truthful in their thoughts as well as in their actions. They should work hard in order to get perfection in every field of life. Their reason should not be lost in bad and useless customs. That means they should not be superstitious or they should not believe in superstitions. He prays to God that God Himself should guide the minds of people and should lead them forward in their thoughts as well as in their actions. Thus, his country should grow in such a kind of heaven. This type of freedom the poet prays for, the poet writes for every Indian, every citizen of India. This was the second paragraph. So, students, we have read the poem now and we have come to the conclusion that in this poem, Tagore presents a dream for an ideal India. The India of Tagore's dream is a land of free, fearless, and self-respecting people. Their thoughts and actions should be guided by the light of truth and reason. Tagore prays for a united India, free India, and India that is free from superstitions and narrow considerations of caste, creed, and language. This poem imagines a land of progress and perfection. This poem is the poet's true song of freedom. The poet prays that when India becomes free, it should be great and perfect. He prays to God to lead the people, that God Himself should lead His people to perfection. This is the theme that the poet wants to convey in the poem. So, students, where the mind is without fear, we have seen is one of the famous poems of Tagore. In the poem, Tagore prays for the welfare of his country. He wishes that when India becomes free, there should be an ideal atmosphere of self-respect and love in the country. Okay? Then in the poem, we see the poet makes use of alliteration, repetition, and assonance. These are a few poetic forms. We have already read about these. Alliteration is a poetic device in which the consonant sounds of words are repeated. For example, the poet uses the phrases head held high. That is, H sound is repeated. And then dreary, desert, sand. D sound is repeated. Then freedom, my father. F sound is repeated. Then the poet makes use of repetition in order to stress his point. Each line of the poem, except the last line, begins with the word where. Assonance is a device in which vowel sounds are repeated in the poem. The poet repeats the E sound a number of times. For example, in the word the, fear, free, dreary, the, freedom. And the poem is written in free verse style. It means that the lines do not rhyme with one another. And the length of the poem too varies. However, through alliteration, repetition, the poet has created a good rhythm. So, this was something about the poem and the style in which the poet has written the poem. Hope the poem is clear now. Thank you.